Hi guys, this is Lalana. Thanks for tuning into the Sovereign Path. So today we're going to talk about soul alignment and getting into union with the twin flame, and what exactly we're talking about when we're using these terms, and how we actually achieve these things. So getting into soul alignment, which basically means coming into inner union with self, coming back into the embodiment of the higher self, which means shifting out of the mind, shifting out of the ego mind, shifting out of the ego programming, the imprints. We stop identifying with our self as the false self, and we start coming back into the remembrance and the recognition and then the embodiment that we are actually pure source consciousness. We are here as souls experiencing this third dimensional separation matrix reality. So when we're talking about coming into union, these are the things that have to occur first, right? There's a process to awakening. There's a process to ascension and alchemy. Whether you're a twin flame or you're not, there is an awakening process that everyone has to go through. And part of this process, specifically and poignantly for twin flames, if you're a true twin flame, is that in order to have that potential for that physical union with your twin flame, you have to face what is out of alignment. So in other words, you have to come into the awareness of what ego patterns am I running, what is my inner talk doing, how am I subscribing to that, how am I identifying with that, all of the things that are creating separation consciousness are keeping us out of the alignment with soul, right? These are the things that are keeping us out of inner union. They're keeping us away from self. I've been talking about this a lot in my last several videos. And so coming into soul alignment, coming into that inner union and that embodiment again with the higher self, because this is who you are, it's who you've always been, which I'll keep saying. It's just that we forgot when we incarnated here and had these physical experiences. And we've been navigating this physical reality through the ego, right? We've been navigating it as if the ego is our identity, as if the personality is our identity, the beliefs, all of these things. So in order to come into soul alignment, which is inner union, we have to come out of the things that are out of alignment with unity, with consciousness, with our higher self, with our highest potential here in this incarnation on earth, which is why we're here. This is the reason that twin flames are here. I've been talking about this a lot. We are here to break through the constructs of the ego mechanisms and the ego programming and the identification with these things through the mind, right? And it doesn't mean that the ego is bad. It doesn't mean that the mind is bad. I'll keep saying these things as well. It just means there's a difference between identifying with who you truly are and identifying with who you are not. So who you are not is these feelings of, and these creations and these senses of duality, which is what the ego mechanisms work off of, duality. I'm always talking about separation consciousness, fear, and lack. Soul alignment is oneness. It's unconditional love. It is being in that place of bliss. It's being in that place of joy. And this is what coming back into alignment truly means on this journey. And so coming back into alignment first and foremost with self is the paramount step that has to be taken in order to get into that place of embodying your higher consciousness again, of having that higher vibratory frequency, coming out of separation and coming into union. So in order to be in physical union, which is basically just like a byproduct of coming into inner union has to take place first. And so a lot of times on the path, we're sort of doing this. I said this in a couple of my videos. It's like we're sort of wanting to jump from, you know, A to C. You know, we're sort of wanting to like skip all the stages or skip all the processes is a better way of saying that than stages. Skip all the processes of what the ascension actually is and sort of jump to, you know, the finish line, the end goal, all of those sort of things that I keep mentioning. And it just, you know, it doesn't work like that. We actually have to look at the things that we generally don't want to see. And we have to have that awareness of, in order for me to come back home to me, which is the whole purpose of the activation in a twin flame dynamic, come home to me, come back to myself, right? Come back to my inner union, to my soul alignment, to my, to the embodiment of my higher self, right? Which is the back into God source consciousness, which is what I am, which is what we all are here. In order for me to do that, I have to drop these other things. And in order for me to magnetize potentially my physical other self, I don't like to use other because it's your same self. It's just your own divine masculine that is here, you know, as a representation in physical form, assisting you through these processes, right? This is what the triggering is for. This is what, you know, the soul is guiding this. The soul is pushing this. And this is one soul, as I keep saying, one higher self. And so that soul alignment is the absolute no, can't get around it, can't navigate it, can't hope that we, you know, sort of are in and out of separation with the twin, physical separation with the twin, and hoping that that sticks. This is a long haul sort of a situation. And I know a lot of twins get really triggered when they hear things like that, you know, that this takes time and that this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And we have to understand that this is a very integral, deep, energetic process that is being guided by your higher self, by your soul. And in order to like shift through these processes, it's going to take time, you know, and so we really have to trust and surrender and be in that place of ultimate flow in regard to what's going on energetically, and really paying attention to where our resistances are at. You know, what am I resisting that is coming up for me? What am I seeing in these shadow sides that I just don't really want to pay attention? You know, what program am I running? What wall do I keep hitting? You know, am I in my feminine energy, you know, as a divine feminine? What is going on with the masculine energy within me? Have I abandoned the masculine energy within me? Have I abandoned the feminine within me? All of these sort of things are really important for us to look at and to see and to recognize that these are energies. These are not, we sort of get into this thing, and this is part of the process, right? It's 100% part of the process, but we get into, the ego gets into this place of wanting to figure all of these things out through external constructs and through external sort of examples, and wanting to sort of hold on to these sort of tangible, physical, material things that make sense to the mind. But even when I'm saying things like masculine and feminine, I'm not talking about feminine and then my masculine, you know, physical twin. I'm talking about the masculine and feminine energies that we are within us, our actual energy, you know, our actual makeup when You know, we're not in physical form. We are still constant energy. And as souls, we are androgynous. So we have the masculine and feminine within us always. And so when I say things like, you know, what's going on with your thought systems, and, you know, what's going on with, you know, these woundings that you are identifying with, and all of these sort of things, these are energies, right? These are energies. They are not tangible. But the ego likes to identify them, as I said, as things that are tangible. And so a lot of times that's why the ego will sort of reach back and hold on to a tangible memory, you know, and then sort of replay that memory over and over again, whether it's a good memory or a bad memory, because it's something that it can actually relate to and hold on to. And the thing about this path is that that's actually not possible to do. And I think that's what can become very difficult and definitely confusing for the mind, and definitely comes in that place for the ego of like, well, I don't understand what you're talking about when you're trying to tell me that I need to be in embodiment with my higher self. What does that even mean, right? Or that I need to come back into alignment with my soul. Not that you're never not in alignment with your soul, and I need to keep repeating that so everyone understands. You're always in alignment with your soul. You're always soul, right? You are always your higher self. However, in this reality, we have taken on separation programming. We have taken on the veil of Maya, right? The illusion that this is all that it is. And so when we're coming from that programming, we have the belief or the sense or the idea or the conception that we are separate from source, right? That we're separate from God, that we're separate from soul, or that soul is somewhere like, yeah, over there, and, you know, my soul is somewhere, and all of these sort of things. This is soul. This is soul. This is it. And so this is what we're talking about when we're saying things like coming back. It's not coming back. I need to change my verbiage, but words start to fail you the further you get along on this path. So it's just in that remembrance, in that recognition that I am always consciousness, that I am always soul, that I am always my higher self. It's just these other constructs of separation that have been telling me otherwise. So releasing these constructs of separation and fear and lack is crucial. And as I said, it's non-negotiable. It is completely and utterly a part of the ascension path. It is the ascension path of coming back into union, coming back to self. This is what facilitates that process of coming back into physical embodiment with the twin, and I think, or physical union with the twin. And I think the issue here for most twins, especially twins that are initially on the journey, and as I said, even deep way into the journey, it just depends. You know, everybody is at different points. There is no sort of time gauge. I'm going to do a video on that as well. This is not like, you're not like, I keep saying this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. This is not like, well, I'm not getting there fast enough, and so therefore, what does that mean? Or I should be way further along on my process now. Or, you know, I'm comparing myself to where I'm at to where somebody else is, and this person's already doing X, Y, Z, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out this. And so what does that mean about my path? Maybe this path isn't even what I thought it was. Please don't do that. I'm going to do a video on that as well. That's your ego doing that. That's your doubt systems running round and round. That's your mind trying to figure something out that it doesn't understand. And then therefore it's putting even more restrictions than you already have to deal with. So if your mind starts doing that and running with that stuff, just, you know, do your best to just sort of not listen to that and not ignore it. Because as I said before, this is not a haul-ass process. Don't care what anybody says. This is not a haul-ass process. This is a process that is guided by your soul. Your soul will dictate how long it takes. For some people, it'll take shorter. For some people, it'll take longer. Time is an illusion anyway, so you don't even really need to get wrapped up in that. Anyway, got off topic. I'm going to do, like I say, another video on that. So what I was aiming at here is that the aim, really, which I try to like stay away from the aim and the end goal and, you know, the finish line and all of those sort of things, because generally speaking, when we're thinking like that, when we're in that embodiment or when we're in that energetic frequency, it's lack, right? It's like, as soon as I do this, then that. I've done a lot of videos on that. So we really don't want to come to this place of like, I need to get into soul alignment. I need to get into inner union. You know, I need to get back into alignment with my higher self. You know, and I need, please try not to do that either. Just trust the process, and do your best to just surrender to this is going to take the time that it needs to take, and trust that you are constantly and utterly being led by your soul. And that, like I said in my previous video, the twin flame coaches that are out here that are assisting and trying to help everybody through this, because we've already been through it and we know how hard it is. It's just holding your hand, you know, it's just basically holding a hand out and saying, I've been through this. I can help you, you know, understand it. I don't like using that word either because it's from the mind, but whatever, I don't have enough words. And I can help you navigate through this with these certain tools, because this is how this process works. And for those of us twin flames who have been through this, who have come into inner union, who understand how this works, we're just basically the helping hands that are like saying, okay, you know, let me sort of help you through this. I went through this pretty much mostly by trial and error for a long time. So I understand that kind of going round and round, and I understand feeling like the focus and the aim and the goal and the finish line is to come into that physical union with that person who has activated, it's not that person, it's your same soul, who has activated this ascension process, and feeling like, as I said so many times, that that's the end all be all, and that's, you know, where I need to get, and that's what feels so good, and all of these sort of things. So it's really important that that we understand fully that this is an ascension process, which I keep saying. This is for your ascension. It's for your ascension. It's for your ascension. And having this idea that the masculine is someone else and they're outside of you, and that they're this other, you know, romantic partner that, you know, you need to attain, is not what this path is. It's not what this path is. And I know that it's what most people want this path to be. But it's this one, like, even when I was going through my journey in the beginning, you know, I just felt like I'm trying to go at this in the opposite direction somehow than the way that this thing goes, right? It took me a while to understand that I was looking at it from the back end of the situation instead of the front end of the situation, because I didn't like the word surrender. I didn't like the word just go with the flow, you know, and trust all of these things. I didn't like any of those things, because I felt like anything that had to do with surrender meant somehow I was giving up my power, or, you know, I was just sort of like laying down and, you know, letting the cement truck like roll over me. Like, all of that for me was very difficult for the ego, which I didn't understand at the time, for the ego to trust anything outside of itself. And so that's a lot of what's going on for twins when they're initially on the path, is that they're going like, what do you mean surrender? What do you mean flow? What do you mean? Like, none of those things make any sense to the ego when we're talking about coming at this from unity consciousness and from soul, because the ego doesn't know what that is. The ego has no idea what that is, which I keep saying. And so the ego, which has been running your life, all of your life, all of our lives, which is fine, it just is what it is still going to be in the front seat of the car trying to tell you that it's this and that and the other and the other. And when a lot of coaches and guides and mentors are just like, just go with the flow. Ego doesn't want to hear that shit. Ego's like, give me the damn lessons and the rules and just tell me what the hell to do. Just tell me what the hell to do, because I want to make this pain stop. I want to make the suffering stop. I want to make the thoughts stop. I want to understand where I'm at, and that's it. And all of that is coming from the masculine energy that we have abandoned, right? It's all coming from that chaser energy of just like action, 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 do, 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 right? And this is what a lot of feminines have a problem with, is that the feminine, which I said earlier, has not sort of become more in your true nature, right? We've sort of been taught in this reality over eons that, I got to be a bad bitch, I got to do this, I got to do this, and so that masculine energy is just like, it's stepping to the forefront all the time, and that's what's creating this chasing thing, right? And so we're moving from that place because a lot of feminines do not feel safe in this reality, and we'll get into that in another video. And so the masculine energy is always pushing out, and it's chasing your divine masculine, and it's doing the opposite thing of what you naturally are meant to do here as a feminine. So receiving, flowing, surrendering, intuitiveness, all of those sort of things. And I'm not saying that all divine feminines that are watching this are having issues with that, but I'm saying a lot of them are. And so that masculine and feminine energy that is within us is out of balance. And that's a lot of what this process of the twin flame journey is about. That's what inner union is about. That's what the alchemical marriage is about. It's what Hieros Gamos is. It's coming back into union, the masculine and feminine within us is what's going on. And so when we're always focused on, I want the end goal, I want the prize, I want that person, then as I said, we are missing the boat in regard to what's actually happening as far as me projecting my inner world, my inner energy away from me, throwing it out at that person. And so it's creating a separation within us because we're tossing it out, right? And so drawing that energy back in, this is what we're talking about when we're saying call your energy back, right? Call your energy back from that physical person, right? Call it back to you, because otherwise we're abandoning self. And that's a lot of what this journey is about. A lot of what this journey is about. So that inner union, that soul alignment, coming back to the whole purpose of me making this video, that soul alignment is first and foremost. That inner union is first and foremost. That union is why you are on this planet at this time in this incarnation, is to come back into that inner union. It's not to come into physical union with that other person. And as soon as we start feeling that, then again, we've thrown our energy out and we've separated ourselves from ourselves. We keep forgetting on this journey, because it's moving from that ego lens, that that person is actually an incarnation of me. He is an incarnation of me. So I've said this like years past, and I know a lot of my clients in the past used to really hate it when I said this, but I would be like, why are you chasing yourself? It's like you're out there in the middle of the street and you're over here on the sidewalk, and there your other self is in the middle of the street. Why are you chasing yourself out into the middle of the street? You're standing right here. This is you. This is it. The whole complete thing. And so we have this misconception, and so we keep going in that direction, and we keep thinking that this path is about going in that direction, chasing that person across the street or anywhere, chasing them, forgetting that I have just abandoned self and projected self outward, instead of recognizing that is my same incarnate self having an experience, assisting me to come home to me, which is soul alignment, which is that inner union, and which does create actual union, because now I'm not abandoning myself, right? Now my energy is back within in wholeness, right? And now I'm in that, that joyful, effervescent bliss state. Some call it Zen, Some call it enlightenment. I like to use enlightenment lightly. We'll have different definitions for that word. But what it is peace. And that's what I call it, is peace. It's coming back home to peace, where there is none of that chasing. There's none of that yearning. There's none of that void. There's none of that, desperation. There's none of that feeling of obsession. There's none of that constant going on. It's like once you get to this point, you realize that every single, day, year, month, however it's long to get here was worth every single solitary second to get here. So that's what I have for you guys. I hope that makes sense. You guys have an awesome day.